Hello and welcome to the Show Day podcast. Today is July 26th, 2019. One show was on the schedule last night. That was DCI Southern Alabama in Dothan, Alabama. Tonight we get 4 shows that will really lead us into the weekend. This weekend, of course, is the DCI Southeastern Championship in Atlanta tomorrow. And we also have Night Beat on Sunday night, Carolina Crown's second home show of the season. And then, of course, that'll lead everyone up the Eastern Seaboard, Allentown then next weekend, and then really that finals push. And the season, 2 weeks from today is semifinals. So 2 weeks from today, we'll know how everybody stacks up against each other after prelims. So season's flying by, as I keep saying, but definitely a lot left to be decided for the rest of the season. Last night, as I said, one show, DCI Southern Alabama, Dothan, Alabama. 5 cores here, the Mandarin, Spirit of Atlanta, Pacific Crest, Genesis, and the Seattle Cascades. The core, there was not really a lot of close competition when we look at these 5 cores. They're all kind of in different competitive regions currently. But I'm still going to break down how they finished in each caption. So looking at general effect, first you've got the Mandarins at a 34.5, Spirit of Atlanta a 33.2, 1.3 back of the Mandarins. Pacific Crest in third place, a 31.6. Genesis finishes fourth at 28.6, and Seattle Cascades get fifth in general effect at 26.9. Visual, the subcaptions all go as they finish 1 through 5. When we look at the overall scores, you've got the Mandarins at 26.15, definitely a good score for them in the visual caption. Spirit of Atlanta 24.65, Pacific Crest in third at 23.55, Genesis at 22.4, and the Seattle Cascades in fifth at 20.95. When we look in music and the music caption, then stuff does get a little closer. So I'm going to break down each sub caption here. When we look at brass first, you've got the Mandarins on top, but it's only by 3/10. Mandarins really are inconsistent in their music score. One night they will do very well in brass, and they will finish top 7 when you look at everybody on an equal playing field, like in San Antonio. But other nights they will finish like 14th. So really, their scores are all over the place in this music caption, particularly in percussion and in brass. Analysis kind of stays even most of the time. After the Mandarins and Spirit of Atlanta battle at the top in brass, you have Pacific Crest in third as 16 even, Genesis in fourth at 15.2, and Seattle Cascades 4/10 back at a 14.8. Music analysis, everybody goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but Pacific Crest does close in on Spirit of Atlanta there. It's just a 10th of a point separating the two in that subcaption. And then in percussion, Spirit actually jumps the Mandarins then, a 16.2 to a 15.9 for the Mandarins. Third place to Pacific Crest, fourth to the Seattle Cascades, and Genesis in fifth. We've seen Seattle Cascades do very well in the percussion caption, at least for how they're placing overall. Overall music scores, Mandarins at a 25 even. They're up 5.5 tenths on Spirit of Atlanta. Third place to Pacific Crest at a 23.45. Genesis in fourth at 21.75, and the Seattle Cascades get fifth at a 21.45. Overall scores at this one, the Mandarins at 85.65, highest score of the season for them to date. Spirit of Atlanta in second at 82.3. Pacific Crest in third, 78.6. Good scores for both of those scores, Spirit and Pacific Crest. Spirit sticking right with Phantom where they are. At Pacific Crest, I would not be surprised if they get 14th or 15th when all is said and done at the end of the year. Genesis in fourth at a 72.75, ties Music City's score from the night before, and the Seattle Cascades in fifth at a 69.3, their highest score to date as well. Tonight we have 4 shows on the schedule, as I previously stated. First up, Drums Along the Mississippi in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. This one will get underway 7:30 Central Time with the Welcome National Anthem. 7:45 is the step-off time for Shadow. 8:01 River City Rhythm. 8:17 the Louisiana Stars. 8:33 an intermission. 8:53 will be the Guardians and 9:09's Gold. Gold's performance will be followed by an encore, and then scores will be announced somewhere around 9:50 Central Time. What to watch for here, and it's a lot. First up, Gold. Their last score was put up on Wednesday night at a 75.35. That is a high score for where they are right now. That is almost 2 points above where the Spartans scored the night before on Tuesday night. So really, Gold is in a very good place right now and is sure looking like the Open Class Championship favorite currently. When we look at the rest of these course here, you've got the Guardians, you got Louisiana Stars, River City Rhythm, and Shadow. I want to break this down into each head-to-head battle. And the only, out of those 4 courses, the only 2 we've seen head-to-head this year is River City Rhythm versus Shadow. We've not seen like River City Rhythm versus Louisiana Stars, Shadow versus Guardians, etc., etc. So, only thing we've got is Shadow versus River City Rhythm, and that was 2 weeks ago today. So, still not much we can pull from that. So what are the big things when you're looking at those 4 or how are they lining up score wise so far this season? I think would be a better way to put it. The Guardians, their last show was Saturday. They finished that event with a 60.225. Compare them to River City Rhythm. I want to do that for a second. River City Rhythm's last score was 2 weeks ago today. They put up a 61.55 on the 12th. That score is still holding over the Guardians' last score from just last weekend. So obviously we can think that River City Rhythm will be over the Guardians tonight. When we throw Louisiana Stars in there, throw Louisiana Stars versus River City Rhythm, Louisiana Stars last competed on the 22nd, this past Monday. They put up a 66.4. River City Rhythm, again, their last score was a 61.55. How those two will line up is definitely a big question mark. Can River City Rhythm make up some points to the Louisiana Stars? Because I honestly think that there is still room for them to make up. I think Louisiana Stars are ahead. We might not see that tonight, but definitely as the season goes on, we probably will. And then also throw in Shadow. They've only had 1 DCI event so far this season, and that was that same show River City Rhythm was at, as I mentioned earlier, and they put up a 57.8 at that event. So you think, okay, they might be over the Guardians as well. So how those last 4 will line up is kind of a big question mark right now. But if you had to ask me, I think it will be Louisiana Stars and then about a point or 2 back to River City Rhythm. Then I think Shadow will finish in that 4th place and Guardians will be 5th. But a lot to be decided, and who knows how they will end up tonight. Definitely those 4 cores there, Shadow, River City Rhythm, Louisiana Stars, Guardians are all going to be in that mix in the middle of Open Class where we throw in other corps like Golden Empire, Southwind, 7th Regiment, and others. So just something to watch when we're talking about them for the rest of the season. Second event tonight is DCI Birmingham in Trussville, Alabama. This one will get underway 7 o'clock Central Time. Welcome to National Anthem. 7:10, a performance by the Southern Knights, a DCA ensemble. They're from Pelham, Alabama. Then we've got many other world-class corps. We've got 7 world-class corps. We've got Genesis, Jersey Surf, the Troopers, then an intermission at 8:18. That intermission will be followed by Pacific Crest, then the Madison Scouts, Colts, and the Blue Knights. So not a lot of heavy hitters here, and not a lot of heavy competition, but still some things to watch. Blue Knights, they've got to start getting the scoring gears moving. They've got to get to 86, 87, 88 tonight. They've got to keep going upward, or corps like the Blue Stars and Mandarins will start to take advantage of them and go ahead. Colts, I think they're going to end up in a battle with Pacific Crest when all is said and done this season. I think Pacific Crest has a lot of potential with that show, and I think the Colts show is not necessarily finished, but I think it's definitely more complete, and there's not a lot you can necessarily add. Where Pacific Crest, I think there's definitely things you can add into the show, and it kind of goes back to the point where the Colts show is so so obvious, and the concept is so obvious, the when hell freezes over concept. And then you've got Pacific Crest with this a little bit more of a abstract concept that they're bringing to the field. So just something to watch for. I think Pacific Crest still has room to improve, and so does Colts, but I think Pacific Crest definitely has more areas to gain in, and I think they could definitely pull up and maybe beat the Colts by the end of the season. We're also looking at this Madison Scouts Troopers battle. The Troopers have kind of said see ya to the Madison Scouts. Madison Scouts are about 2 points behind the Troopers now. We'll have to see if that continues tonight. And then also Jersey Surf. A Genesis Surf got to get things moving as well. 70, 71, 72 definitely is in the realm of possibility and needs to be completed by the end of the weekend, I think, for Jersey Surf. Third show tonight, and this is the show with the, that Cape Girardeau show is obviously amazing, and on the open class side of things, it is just, there's so much that is happening there competitively, and also the great performances. But this one is the show that after tonight, everybody will be talking about. And this is the Masters of the Summer Music Games in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, presented by Jupiter, MAPEX, and Majestic at Middle Tennessee State University. A lot of competitive storylines, and the reason, of course, that everybody will come away from this one talking about it is that you've got all the championship contenders here, top 6, and maybe the Blue Stars if they finish 7th, the top 7th this one. So Music City, they'll actually kick things off. They always perform at this show. It's in their home city, or almost to that. It's in their home state at least. So always a good thing for Music City to get to perform at this event. Then we go up into that top 10 range. You've got Blue Stars, the Cadets, the Cavaliers, Boston Crusaders, an intermission, then Carolina Crown, Santa Clara Vanguard, the Blue Devils, and the Bluecoats, followed by scores being announced at about 10:25. What are we looking for here? And it's pretty straightforward. The overall World Championship battle is the big thing, and that's the Bluecoats, Blue Devils, and Santa Clara Vanguard. Bluecoats brought out that new ending, the Hey Jude, the other night in Little Rock. Can they keep building upon that? The crowd loved it from the video I saw from Little Rock. They got to keep building on that and see how they end up by the end, and they've obviously got to keep that lead over the Blue Devils, even if it's just a 10th at this point. I think the Blue Devils or the Bluecoats are still having that momentum of being first and still being undefeated, 20 or 21-0 right now. Blue Devils, though, they keep just taking little pieces of the Bluecoats' lead away. I mean, some nights they get closer than others, but still we're seeing them stay within about a half of a point, if not less, every night. You've got Santa Clara Vanguard. I expect them to bring out the new ending tonight. Last year they did. Last year the iconic finish, the iconic ending of Babylon, where the props come together at the 50-yard line, that was added in Murfreesboro. So I expect them to add something very good in tonight, add something that will definitely enhance that show to a level that they need to be at currently. And if Vanguard can do that, I think they'll be up with Blue Devils and Bluecoats by the time the season's over. Crown, Boston, the Cavaliers, you've got them there as well. What will happen here? Boston debuted kind of a sort of new ending the other night. Can they overtake Crown tonight? Can the Cavaliers make up any room or any space to Crown and Boston and make sure not to fall down into the Blue Stars territory? Which brings me to the Blue Stars, who obviously main objective right now is to get that 7th spot and also kind of close in on the Cavaliers a little bit. And also throw the Cadets in here. Obviously, they need to get things moving score-wise as well. 85-86 needs to be done probably too by the end of this weekend. The final event for tonight is Music on the Mountain in Sheffield, Pennsylvania. 8 corps will perform here. Everything gets underway. 7:10 Cincinnati Tradition will perform a DCA ensemble. Then we've got 3 open class corps, like Centaurs, Heatwave, and the Raiders join in this action. These are the same corps we saw touring in New York State and up in the Northeast. After the Raiders, a 20-minute intermission. That intermission will be followed by Southwind, the Spartans, Legends, and 7th Regiment, and Encore, and then scores are announced at about 10:03 Eastern Time. This show here, obviously, stuff we'll be watching. Spartans got to keep the score gears moving. You got to get up to 75 tonight, I think, undoubtedly for the Spartans. Legends, they got to keep it moving too. 72-73. You got to stay within 2 points, or really a point and a half of the Spartans. 7th Regiment and Southwind been a very intriguing battle. We saw Southwind 1.5 above 7th Regiment as of Tuesday night. So can 7th Regiment close in at all? Does Southwind expand that gap? Etc. are things we'll be looking for tonight. And then this other part of the lineup, which you've got Heatwave, Raiders, and Lace Centaurs. The Raiders have not been able to perform since the 2nd of July at MetLife Stadium. They were, of course, supposed to perform on the 17th. That show got rained out in Augusta, so now they're here in Sheffield now. So 49.35 was their last score on July 2nd. You compare that to where Heatwave and the Lace Centaurs line up as of just this week. Heatwave at a 56.55, Lace Centaurs a 52.65. I think Raiders will definitely be able to be over the Lace Centaurs, but can they be over Heatwave? Because I think by the end of the season, the big battle we'll be watching for finals in open class is Raiders versus Heatwave, and it's just one of those things that it's one of the most intriguing battles. And I think if they're close tonight, they'll definitely be switching spots kind of every night. I think Raiders could be ahead one night, Heatwave could be ahead another. Just a bunch of things that could be going on in that battle for open class finals. So thank you for watching the podcast. Just a few things. Make sure to visit my website, drumcorpscentral.weebly.com, for all the latest updates from the DCI and DCA summer tours. Scores, schedules, leaderboards, and more can all be found on my own personal website about all things drum corps. Make sure to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Drum Corps Geek, and subscribe to the Show Day podcast on YouTube, where this podcast and more will be posted. Finally, leave your thoughts in the comment sections, questions, input, comments, etc. would all be greatly appreciated. So thank you for watching the Show Day podcast. I might have some other content coming out this weekend as well. I mentioned the merchandise guide and also the Atlanta housing site guide. That Atlanta guide will definitely be posted by the end of the evening tonight. But very interesting competition tonight, and that, as I said earlier, will lead into this very action-packed weekend. Looking forward to seeing it all live on Flow Marching Saturday and Sunday. So, thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your Friday.